was going to say, at 5:18 p.m., the judge has just asked the jurors to come in. He's told them to leave the courtroom after giving them the instruction to continue deliberating and to send him a note if they're going to continue deliberating for the rest of the day. And of course, traditionally, it's been ending at 5 p.m. So this might mean that they're indicating they will continue to deliberate, obviously past the 5 o'clock hour. Will they go later than this, or will they return tomorrow? Anyone's guess.
And just to remind folks what we're talking about here in terms of the crimes that Sean Diddy Combs is alleged to have committed, of the 34 witnesses, 2 of them were Combs' former girlfriends. You referred to one of them, Cassie Ventura. They testified that he forced them into having sex with male escorts while he watched. Cassie Ventura was on the witness stand for a long, long time, recounting what she alleges was 10 years of physical violence, threats, and blackmail to coerce her into participating in what these activities were called. Combs called them freak-offs. They were drug-fueled sexual encounters with male escorts that she alleges were non-consensual. And Laura, it seems very interesting that the defense opted not only to not call Sean Diddy Combs as a witness. That's fairly common, I would think, especially if you have a witness who has a rather sizable ego and might not come across as all that sympathetic. But they didn't call any witnesses. They spent all their time trying to tear down the prosecution's witnesses.
Yes.
Do you think that was a good strategy? I mean, obviously the proof will be in the pudding when we get the verdicts, but it seems like a rather risky strategy to me.
It indeed is always a gamble. We do know the jury has said that they are done for the day. They will come back tomorrow with 4 of the 5 verdicts already done, waiting for that last one to actually unfold. But here was the #1 hurdle when it came to the sex trafficking cases and the force, coercion, or threats that were used allegedly to have them engage in these freak-offs. And that was, there was a lot of text messages that came in and testimony from both Jane, the pseudonymed victim, and also Cassie Ventura, who described that they had relayed either their pleasure or proactive participation in these freak-offs. They say to placate and preserve the relationship. The prosecution argues as well out of fear of reprisal or otherwise, or financial leverage and money being taken away. That's a huge hurdle. But you also heard audio and voice notes and read text messages from Sean Diddy Combs. In many ways, the modern court systems or the modern way of communications are a little bit ahead of what the courts do, because in a way, you were able to hear the voice of Sean Diddy Combs through the trial during the prosecution's case in chief. And at times, his statements were emotional. They were conveying his position. They belied what was being said by the witnesses themselves as well. And so I wonder if they considered that to be an appropriate substitute. But you're right, Jake. It's a gamble not to call a single witness, even when you know that it's not your burden to prove your innocence. It's a huge risk.
I just want to make sure I understand what's going on exactly, because I know we have a chyron down at the bottom of the screen saying jurors send notes saying they're done for the day, but we've also reported that the judge says he's going to tell the jury to keep deliberating. So what exactly is going on right now? Is the jury done for the day, or has the judge sent them back to keep deliberating?
Yeah. Both happened. He sent them back to keep deliberating and told them, let me know if you're done for the day. They came back and said, we're done for the day, which means that tomorrow they'll continue deliberating. But you know, they only have one major count. It's a huge one to go. Now, if they still do not have a resolution and unanimous decisions, then you have a different ballgame for the judge determining whether or not to have them continue throughout the day or to call it a day and have the other 4 charges and verdicts be read. Now, we know one option here was always for the judge to read out those other 4 verdicts and allow them to keep deliberating on one. He didn't choose that option. So you can imagine a very long, sleepless night ahead for the defense and the prosecution.
Who, by the way, to remind our viewers, the defendant, Sean Combs, he has been in custody throughout this entire trial. He has been in custody since before this trial, since the second that he was arrested here in New York City in September. He has been in jail at the MDC in Brooklyn. So this is a very long, sleepless night for Sean Combs, who 5 minutes ago thought, I may have a verdict, I may know my fate today. And now he has learned There is no verdict tonight. They will continue deliberating tomorrow. And you could imagine that is going to be a very, very tough night for him. And also, remember, the women who testified in this trial, Cassie Ventura and the two women who testified under pseudonyms, Mia and Jane, you can imagine they are on pins and needles wondering, did the jury believe me? Did they believe my story?
Yeah, I mean, there is a verdict. There are 4 verdicts. It's just they're not letting us know what they are. Laura and Elizabeth, stick around. I want to bring in some other legal experts to talk about what we're learning right now. Ellie Honig and Misty Maris. Ellie, so after all this, the jury has finished deliberations for the day. They're going to come back tomorrow. What happens tomorrow? Will we have a verdict tomorrow?
Okay, Jake, I've been in this exact situation in this exact courtroom where you have a partial verdict, you don't know what it is. A couple things that the prosecutors are looking at. Number one, they know the jury has verdicts, has not hung on counts 2 through 5. Of course, they don't know what those verdicts are, but that's good news if you're a prosecutor because the hung jury is always a nightmare for prosecutors. It's basically a win for the defense. The other thing, if we look at the wording of the note that came out, it tells us that there are multiple jurors on either side. It uses the plural of count 1, the racketeering count. Now, here's what's going to happen tomorrow. The jury will come back in. They will resume deliberations on count 1, on the racketeering count, and one of two things will happen from there. Either A, they will come back and say, okay, Judge, now we've reached a verdict on count 1. That happens sometimes. I wouldn't say often, but sometimes, in which case we'll have verdicts on all 5 counts. Jury will come out and tell us what the verdicts are on counts 1 through 5. The other option, which is slightly more common in my experience, is the jury will come back at some point tomorrow and say, Judge, you know, we tried again, we listened to your instruction, we kept open minds, we debated it 3 more hours, 4 more hours, and we're still stuck. And at that point, what the judge is likely to do and has the power to do is say, fine, come in, I'm going to take your verdicts on counts 2 through 5, and we're going to declare count 1 a hung jury, a mistrial. So that's what we're looking for tomorrow.
So, Misty, let me ask you this because this is some more legal language that I'm not all that familiar with. The government, the prosecution, asked for a modified Allen charge. The defense said it's too early for that. What does that mean?
So an Allen charge is what we call a dynamite charge. It's when the judge instructs the jury to go back into that jury room and not to give up on their convictions or change their mind because of coercion or pressure, but to listen to the people that are in the majority. So those that are in the minority, listen to those in the majority, keep an open mind, and try and come to a consensus. So an Allen charge, it's statutory language. It's like a boilerplate charge. And what the judge actually, what it sounds like the judge read was some modification of a formal Allen charge. But the Allen charge, the reason they call it the dynamite charge is it's generally that last-ditch effort to get the jury to come to a consensus. And there's an analysis about it because you don't want an issue where the jury has felt pressure to change their mind. And that's why the language is really consistent here in the Second Circuit. There's specific language that the judge would read. And what we heard or what we is reported that the judge did is a modification of that charge.
All right, Misty and Ellie, stick around. The breaking news, of course, the jury in the Sean Diddy Combs trial has reached a verdict in 4 out of the 5 counts against the former music mogul. Stay with us. We're going to squeeze in a quick break. We'll be right back.